Hello, we're here with Josh Christian. We're going to talk about music and growing up and playing in bands. And Josh is a great musician and an incredible person. Thanks, Josh, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
First, I want to ask you about where you grew up.
I grew up in Pleasanton, California, but I bounced around a little. I had a split family, so sometimes at weekends I'd go to Hayward or Fremont, wherever my dad was living at the time. But mostly Pleasanton, East Bay.
Cool. When did you first get into music?
Oh boy, gosh. Probably, I always liked listening to songs with my mom when I was young. But when I actually started to get into it, where it caught me, and I wanted to pursue it or listen to other bands and stuff, probably my early teens, maybe even 10 years old, I started to kind of get into AC/DC and branched off, so early.
Cool. What were some of your past musical influences and what are your current influences?
Okay. Well, past ones was classic rock, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. I'd probably watch the AC/DC live at Donington every single night. So classic rock to start, and then it moved slowly more into heavier metal, such as Metallica, Megadeth, all those thrash metal kind of bands. And then I got more into new metal, heavier new metal. And that's probably where I still lie, is more deathcore-y. I like Slipknot. Slipknot's probably one of my favorite bands, so that's a kind of new metal band. But yeah, so now I listen to pretty heavy stuff though. I like death thrash and all that kind of stuff. But I still love listening to old school music as well. It's never gone away. I respect all of it. So
cool. When did you first started playing the drum kit, or when did you first get your first drum kit and start playing? Do you remember?
Okay. I remember I was, when I go to my dad's house, Fremont, when he lived in Fremont, there was a guy, he was probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years older than me. And he had a drum set across the street and I'd always hear him playing. And my first instrument was guitar. So I was already introduced into music, learning an instrument. And I remember talking to him one day and he told me, he was like, you can come over and play on my set, whatever. I didn't know how to play anything. And that was the introduction to the drums. And I fell in love with it. And I basically taught myself how to play basic stuff with him until I met you. But yeah, that's how it started. And I was probably 12, 13 maybe.
And when you started taking lessons, was I your first teacher?
You were my first, yes. The first and only drum teacher. Yep. It's all I needed, man.
Wow. Cool. What was your practice routine when in the past? Did you have a practice routine like you did every day for an hour, half hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, or did you practice just on the weekends, or did you have a set practice routine younger and through high school and whatnot?
No, and I didn't have a steady practice until I met you. And you kind of drilled that into me, you got to practice this if you want to get good, and so I remember after our lessons, I'd be really on to practicing. I wanted to practice all the time. And then as the days faded, I'd fall off, but then I'd have another lesson with you, which would reignite it. And so it was kind of like that. After our lessons, I'd be really into it and want to jam and want to practice and play and do all the paradiddles and rolls on my pad. But then, it's after I didn't see you for 4 days or however long it kind of fade off. And, so I probably wasn't as good as I should have been. I was young, it's hard to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I practiced when I could, but I definitely wish I did it more. I definitely do wish I did it more.
And who were your mentors growing up? Did you have musical mentors, or did you have other mentors in your life that inspired you growing up?
Sure. So how I got into music in the first place really was Rob, my mom's husband, my stepfather, and I got a lot of music from him. And then he plays electric guitar and acoustic guitar very well. And he taught me and my stepbrother, his son, guitar, just basic riffs and all that stuff. Got us a guitar book, so that was my first instrument. And so he was a big influence to me. And then you were obviously, when I was taking lessons, I was like, dude, this guy's a god, man. He can play like that. I looked up to you a lot. And then besides you, just other famous drummers, I'd watch videos of them all day, just, doing licks and trying to recreate that or play off of it. And, it was fun. But you and Rob were two Robs, right? Were the biggest influences, probably like personal influences. Yeah.
Did you go to a lot of concerts and different things when you're growing up to see professionals play in like a big concert production in an arena?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I was 13, right when I was getting into drumming, the first concert I ever went to was Guns N' Roses in Oakland, and blew my socks off. I mean, Guns N' Roses is a powerhouse. I mean, they're an incredible band. And then just to like see it live, it was like, whoa. And then I saw Metallica live and I was like, oh my God. Like, and that really just lit the fire under me, for sure.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. We were talking earlier. It's a good point to see a live concert, with some heroes or somebody that you idolize, and
Right.
seeing that at a young age, and it really does change your life.
Correct.
So that's another thing that we're talking about that is very important that people don't always get to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
For sure.
Can you talk about when you first formed your first band and how you formed that band?
Mm-hmm. I think the first band, it was such a joke of a band. I mean, like, we didn't practice, but like we wanted to call ourselves a band because we get together on the weekend for like an hour. But that was like me, my stepbrother Esky, and I think Jason Spooner was in it, one of our friends back in the day. And we just started this little thing. I don't even know if we had a name. I can't remember. But the first band was Sandy's Chains, the one with JP. I mean, that was, everything to me when I was 18 years old. I was skipping senior year, basically. I would literally not show up to classes. I'd leave like school halfway through and go play, band practice, more important than school. But yeah, man, that was Sanity's Chains was the one. It was amazing.
So can you talk about that band and how that happened? And I was talking to JP, and he mentioned that his brother played bass, but his brother was barely a bass player.
Yeah.
And he was playing drums, and he decided that you would come in, and then he would switch to guitar. Mm-hmm. Just the kind of thing that happened that was kind of incredible. So can you elaborate on that? How what that situation was back then?
Yeah, so he knew I played drums. Like, I was pretty good. It was when I was taking lessons from you still, and he was the drummer of Sandy's Chains. It was like one of the bands in Pleasanton everyone knew. And I kind of looked up to him. I was like, that's like a kind of successful band. And they're my friends. Justin Marino, his younger brother, who was the bassist, was my best friend at the time. So I was always over at their house. And I can't remember what happened, but they asked me to try out. They're like, you want to try out for our band? And I was like, sure. And there was this song called Breaking the Mirror. We usually opened our concerts with it. And they kind of taught me how to play real quick, JP. And we all tuned up and started playing. And I remember they were like, all right, we'll let you know. And I went back inside, and then JP or someone came back in after like 20 minutes, and they were like, you're in the band, dude. And I was like, oh, dang. And that was before Justin was even in the band. So, and then slowly he became the bassist. But yeah, that was cool. I remember that moment specifically. He walked in the kitchen, and he was like, you're in the band. And I was like, oh my gosh. So
they had a meeting or something, and you were...
Yeah. And I could tell they liked me. You know it, right? Like when you're playing the drums, you could tell they're like grooving you. They're looking at you weird, like, geez, dude, this kid's good. Or, it's like, so that was cool.
Yeah, I've always noticed teaching you that you had a natural feel. And that's something that really cannot be taught. It's something you have or you don't have. But I know that was something that probably was very attractive to people, because it's like, oh, you got that nice flow, you got a great feel, you have a nice, it's like a nice groove, like all these things, is something that is comfortable for other musicians.
Right.
This kind of situation where somebody switched instruments and whatnot, and maybe knowing like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, or knowing that this feels good to me, was maybe the deciding factor in that.
Right.
But very cool. So, did you guys you were talking about rehearsing, so maybe you could talk about how you guys rehearsed, and you said you'd go take off from school and guys would...
Yeah.
So how many hours were you guys rehearsing?
Oh man. We'd probably play for like a couple hours maybe, but a lot of it, JP was the mastermind behind Sandy's Chains. Like, I was the drummer in that band, but that was his band, you know what I mean? And he created it. And so I'd watch him actually do a lot of work on his computer, and he'd have like GarageBand or like, so he'd write a riff and then just have a basic drum beat going on the back. And like, I'd watch him create these things, and then I'd think of things like, oh, I can do this here. But a lot of the times he was like a teacher too for me, because he'd teach me how, like, this is what sounds good at this part. He taught me a lot about music, like the structure of songs, and like, when it's appropriate to like stand out as a drummer, when you got to hold back and just like let the other instruments do the thing. So that was a big problem with me. I wanted to be like, I want to be heard. Like, I want to be the center of attention in the band, not the lead singer, how it usually is, And our lead singer was very timid. Dylan Taylor, I don't know if you remember him or ever met him, but he was like timid and shy, and he didn't really want to like he'd have to sing in a dark room sometimes alone while we were recording, because he didn't want people watching him, and like he had to get into this zone. It was really weird. But and a lot of the times on stage when we were performing, you'd expect your lead singer to be like the hype man, like to get the crowd into it. But I'd actually have to, after songs, I'd drop my drumsticks, run up to the front of the stage and be like, let's go, like get the crowd into it, run back to my drums and start the next song, because he just didn't have it in him. He wasn't a front man, if you will. So,
yeah, you mentioned the singing in the dark. Another student that I taught before you, they did one of their demos over here at my studio, and the singer, same thing, and he had to be in the closet. So we had to take everything out of my my equipment closet, like take all the equipment, put it in the garage, so he could sing in the dark.
Yep.
And it would be, blaring hot, like steaming. It's like unbelievable temperatures, and he do the screamo thing, but he had to sing in the dark. So you remind me of that, like
it's a trip. I don't understand it, but
right. It's like being self-conscious or something like that, and I guess you're doing art and you're trying to get into it and try to get yourself in the zone. But
sure.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that. So, was Dylan the singer permanently, or did he leave? Did somebody else come in?
No, so they had a lead singer. I can't remember his name. And I think that's all he did was sing. I don't think he played an instrument. But he left. I think he went to college or something. And so Dylan was the lead guitarist. I mean, he'd shred, great guitarist. So he took the role of being the lead guitarist and now vocalist. So it's tough. Like, that's a tough job. So he had to learn how to sing and play his guitar at the same time, which is hard. And then JP went to rhythm guitar, and he wrote all the songs basically. And then I moved to drums.
Wow. So maybe you could talk about once you guys you started getting tight as a band and you guys were rehearsing all the time. Did you guys play venues?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that.
We played bad shows at like Brewster's Roadhouse and Antioch to like, I think probably one of our most successful gigs was the DNA Lounge in San Francisco. That was really cool. We almost played at Slim's, in San Francisco, but we didn't sell enough tickets or something. It was it sucked. It was like, you have to sell a certain amount of tickets for you to be able to play. And it's like, I get it, but it sucks. It's like, it's hard, when all your friends are like 18 and don't want to spend their money on a $25 ticket or however much it was. But yeah, we played there. We played at, what was this place? What's that place in Walnut Creek? It's called like Red House. Played there all the time.
Okay.
That was like our main hub, I'd say. Like we played there. I think we had some of our best shows there. It's more intimate. Like DNA Lounge was cool, but it's big, so it's like you don't have the fans like right there. And I loved having the fans where they could literally just jump on stage if they want, that's more my arena. But yeah, so we were getting tight. We'd play shows quite a bit, as much as we could. JP, like I said, he would set everything up. He was the mastermind. And then we got, I think we took a break from playing shows maybe a little, and we got more into the recording aspect. And we wanted to get our first album out, which we eventually did. And we got it mastered and everything. And then we sent it, I remember JP sent it off to like a bunch of different record labels. And we got Warner Brothers hit us back. And that was like, I remember that was crazy when JP was like, dude, the executive guy at Warner Brothers just sent us a letter, like, wants us to, it was some crazy thing. Like, you got to sign a 3-year contract and you got to put an album out each year, and each album has to do better than the last one. Like, just some crazy shit. I'm 18. I'm like, I don't know anything. So it was pretty intense. And I remember we ended up not doing it because like Dylan's parents didn't let him or something, didn't want him going to LA. They were like, we want you to focus on your film career or something like that. And so it was kind of a bummer, but I'm actually glad it didn't happen, because who knows where I'd be right now? Who knows? That's a hard life, moving to LA and start playing rock and roll, right? I don't know.
JP talks about how he moved to LA, and he talked about going to LA with somebody. Maybe it was Dylan. Mm-hmm. And he talked about he was doing I guess what he's doing now, and he was in an office right on Sunset Boulevard. Mm-hmm. And he didn't talk about the deal. The thing with the music business is, I mean, it's a tough business, and of course that's all gone now, with getting a deal. So that was probably rare that happened.
Oh yeah.
Once you do sign a document, then that you're liable, right? So there's a lot of pressure in trying to put that stuff out. Now, as far as like, will it do well? Or it used to be that the record company was promote you. They would have marketing, but they don't do that. They expect you to do that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that whole model kind of fell apart, and now it's no more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're like, maybe Justin Bieber or, what's the other singer that's really popular?
Miley Cyrus.
Miley, or what's her name? Taylor.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, stuff like that, where they're gonna sell to 14-year-olds.
Yep.
But a lot of the stuff that doing a lot of music is not, it's not the same with getting the deal and then being supported, right?
Right.
So it's a whole shift in the music business, right? Which fell, right? And that fell around Napster and Apple Music and Spotify and all that, which is
Right.
kind of when you're probably it was the infancy around when you guys were playing.
Mhm.
Which now it's taken off. Like people don't really buy a product, very rarely.
Yeah.
They're streaming.
Yeah, people aren't dropping in albums anymore, really. Like a
Yeah.
CD at the store, you go
Yeah,
buy.
and there's no more stores, that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sell that, which we used to have, Tower Records and Warehouse Records, and
Mhm.
you actually go to the store and buy product,
Right. I
and it was
remember that.
great, man. It was
Yeah.
great. Buy videos, they had DVDs, they had VHS, they had all these things, and it was great. We loved that. It was part of our upbringing, like seeing all this like new stuff that came out and buying it up and whatnot. And it was expensive. I mean, a CD was like $15 to $17, and you buy a few of those, it's already up to $50. So, yeah, you've cherished that when you bought it and you lived with it, and you
Oh
know,
yeah.
we that was our influence, buying music, seeing music.
Mhm.
So yeah, that whole thing has changed because that model is now gone, and streaming is more of you sign up for a service, monthly subscription, and that's what it is. I don't know if the artists are getting paid or not. Some of them don't, and that's probably a big problem that's going on right now with some of the industry with Spotify or some other ones that people are getting pennies, like a percentage of a penny on a download,
Yeah.
which they end up pulling out, and the way they make their money is off of shows and merchandise,
Yep.
selling T-shirts and hats and mugs and
Yep.
stuff like that. So different time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So after this had happened and you had, you guys didn't do the record deal, did the band stop at that point?
It was pretty. Yeah. Like it was. We might have played a couple more shows, but it was basically done because Dylan went off to college, and once that happened, it was kind of, and but it was a great time, awesome band, and that's when I started my other band, which was called Primality, and that was with my stepbrother, my buddy Jason Spooner. He was the bassist, and yeah, it was just three people. That's right. And we play shows, backyard shows, garage shows, like nothing like Sanity's Chains, but that band almost, I don't know, I don't want to say I had more fun, but like I felt like I was more a part of the second band. Like I had more of like, I get to create what I want to do, not like, I mean, JP had his vision, and I followed that, which was cool, but I think it ultimately made me better too in the second band. Like I was creating some crazy drum licks. I mean, I was good, and like that was my prime, if you will. But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. We played with Rip Gut. That was another big band around the Bay Area at the time. My buddy was in that band. Still a great friend of mine. But yeah, and then after that, that's it. That's all it is. That's all she wrote.
So is there any specific performance or recording that you can look back on and just say, like, I played great on this. This is something that I remember. Like everything was clicking. Everything was gelling. Is there any aha moment for you that you can remember?
I don't know about like. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, I remember. I don't know what you mean by that. Like clicking, like.
So, having a performance where everything goes right, where everybody has like like you're everybody's in tune with each other, like
Mm-hmm.
audience, the band, like the performance is really good. You felt really good about it afterwards. To go, oh wow, that was
Oh,
awesome.
oh
Like
yeah.
we played really well. Like God, everything just flowed, and we got through the show, and like every song was just it was great. It was like just like you were playing, and everything is just it's just happening.
Yeah, I remember that's at what was it, a Red House with Sandy's Chains. We had a show one night that was like Nirvana. Everything worked right, like you said. I got the crowd really into it. Like we had these big circle pits, people moshing, and it was awesome. Like I've never had a crowd as into it as it was that night. I mean, people were screaming our names in the back. Like these girls were like, Josh, Josh. I'm like, oh my God. Like, so of course, yeah, of course.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, talk about like going to. Did you go to college after the band? Did you do something like that at that point, or did you go straight into doing a regular job?
Yeah. So I've always been a worker. So I've always been working. I tried a semester of college. I did one semester and I was like, screw this. And I left and just kept working. Yeah. And then now I'm here. So I've never really been to college. I've always just a worker bee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you moved to Vegas, and you've changed your life. You've we talked about some of the health things that you've overcome, and totally amazing transformation, which blows me away.
Thank you.
So you've made major changes in your life and new chapters.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and you're healthy now. You're eating well. You said you lost a bunch of weight. You got into your routine every day. You're exercising. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, like how you changed your life.
Sure. Yeah, I went through probably after the band, all my bands were over, like towards the end of Primality. I don't know what you want to call it, depression or whatever, but I got stuck in a groove that wasn't healthy. So maybe doing drugs I shouldn't have been doing, maybe eating like I shouldn't. Well, for sure not eating right. I was sedentary, and that was the big problem. I was just sitting around doing nothing. So like eating terrible and then sitting around doing nothing, getting heavier, heavier, heavier. And I don't know what did it. I don't know. It was just like something clicked in my head. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day in the bathroom, and I was like, this has to stop. Has to stop. You're going to die. Like your doctor saying you're on the way to diabetes, all this crazy crap. I'm 20 years old. Like that's insane. You know what I mean? So I don't know what did it, but like I said, I started walking every day. That walk led to a power walk. That power walk led to hiking. And now hiking has led to long distance running, which I love. And I do every week, probably run 25, 30 kilometers a week. And I eat as healthy as I can. I mean, sometimes I'll go out with my girlfriend or something and eat. But a lot of veggies, lean protein, and yeah, like trying to drink more water and stuff. But I mean, it is crazy to think back. Like I'll see pictures of myself when I watch that video of me playing on your website. It's just like, wow. Like I even showed my girlfriend. She's like, that was you? You know what I mean? I'm like, that was me, man. I was thick. I was chubby. And that was nothing. I mean, when you knew me like that, that was nothing compared to what I was. I mean, I was heavy. So, like I said, it was hard to tie my shoes. I'd be out of breath doing anything. Like, it's very cool what I've done. I mean, I try to stay humble and stuff, obviously, but I'm proud of myself. I've suffered like you can't imagine trying to lose all this weight. And I'm pretty happy with it. It's still a work in progress. That's why it's not a diet, right? It's a lifestyle change. I don't like diets. Diets are temporary, and then what are you gonna do? Go back to your old ways? So like, you got to change your life, and that's what I've done, and it's granted me great things. So
Yeah, I think that's really inspirational for people to hear because, when you suffer with certain things like, weight and depression and whatnot, I had my buddy who I went to college with, who actually was the reason I went to music college, who is amazing. He was an amazing player, gifted, like, prodigy, child prodigy. And we played in my band, my trio. He was the reason we did it. We started it, he, when he was in school, and I had come back, he was depressed, and he had stayed in Boston and was eating and just eating out of, what you say, out of depression, like feeding the depression with food.
yeah.
And so he comes back from school, or from Boston, and I pick him up at BART, and he's huge,
Yeah.
and he also had, in his family, they have hypertension, and he was kind of very stubborn and very, he could be very difficult because he was such a genius and very, he had all these gifts, but one of his downfalls is he would not listen to anybody. He wouldn't go to the doctor by himself. People wanted to help him, but he didn't want any help.
Right.
So eventually he had a stroke and a heart attack at the same time while driving.
Wow.
And he was in a coma, and he didn't make it.
Wow.
They eventually took him off life support. So that was the thing about, like, weight loss and really making the determination to do it. And if you don't, that stuff is true. Like, there's like serious, consequences and health risks that can happen. Like you mentioned, diabetes, like the stroke, heart attack. Your all your organs are working so hard. Right. So, you're such an inspiration to a lot of people that you actually changed your life, and wasn't, something, who knows, maybe if you kept going the way you're going, like, what would have happened,
Probably wouldn't be here. Yeah.
Right. But it's a, like you said, it's a life change, but you have to make that determination that you're going to do it. It's not something you can do for a little bit and stop. You have to, like, say, from now on, it's going to be like this. Right. And not everybody can do that. A lot of people don't have willpower, and I think it's like a good success story for people to see that, the result of what could happen. Right.
I agree. Yeah. And trust me, I made every excuse in the book, like all the excuses, just to, like, maybe there's something wrong with me, or maybe I have something medically wrong with me where I can't lose weight, like normal people, just trying to excuses. But it's like, trust me, if you want to do it, you can do it. Like, I didn't take any pills. I didn't get any liposuction. I didn't get any work done to me. I did it all through, hard work and sweat. Like, and that's what it takes. It's hard work, but, like, it's so worth it. Like, I'm so happy with what I've done, Yeah.
So. Congratulations, man. It's very inspirational to me. So.
Thank you.
So just going to the last part of the interview here. Taking lessons from me, how do you think it benefited from you with my curriculum, and what areas do you think helped you the most?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, after I took lessons from you, my playing was dramatically different. I didn't know what a roll was. I didn't, when I first came to you, I just knew how to keep a basic beat, basically. But you taught me, I remember you saying to me, we can go two ways. We can go a jazz route, or we can go the funk route. And I took the funk route, because I like that funky style of playing better. And now, like, I mean, all my riffs, all my drum style, it's all based off around what you taught me. It's got a funky style to it. It's groovy. I still do like some paradiddles and rolls you taught me. Like I've incorporated that into my playing, a lot of it. But like my chops, it's not even comparable. I mean, I'm a completely different drummer. Like taking lessons was the best thing I ever did for my drumming. You know, it's like you think you're kind of good, and then you take lessons, and it's like, holy crap. You know, now I'm good. So, yeah, it was phenomenal taking lessons from you. Like, I liked you. You're a cool guy. It's like you believed in me. It's like almost, it was nice too, because you like saw something in me that I couldn't see. You know, it was like, it's like, this kid's talented, man. Like, I remember you telling my mom, like, he holds rhythm well. He's really talented. Like, he's a natural, da 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 da. And that kind of sparked me more. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm made for this, you know? So I got way more into it, you know? So it's like having someone that believes in you too, not just like a drum teacher, like, oh, I'm going to show you how to play stuff. It's like you actually believed in me and wanted me to be good because you saw it in me. So that was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what is your current occupation now?
I work for Franklin Printing. It's a printing and graphics shop, and I do I mean, I don't know what my job title would be, but I work at a print shop. So it's cool. We do printing for medical, like UMC is a big hospital out here. We do printing for. We've done printing for the Raiders, the UFC, all the law offices you can imagine. A lot of, casino work, strip clubs, I mean, just whatever. Like, it's Vegas, so there's so many different things we print for, fast food chains. But it's cool. It's pretty lucrative. I mean, like, it's kind of a weird business to be in nowadays because there's a lot of online printing and a lot of these printers in China that have such cheap rates, and it's crazy. It's hard to compete with. But the only thing we have on them is fast turnaround. You order from China, it takes a long time. So it might be cheap, but it's going to take a long time to get over here. So that's like the one thing we have. And our customer service, we have, I think, more 5-star ratings than any other printer in Vegas. So yeah, that's
cool.
What I do.
So what are your plans for the future, musically or otherwise?
So my plans are, I don't know. I talked with JP. I mean, career-wise, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just kind of riding the wave right now. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm very grateful too. There's a lot of people without a job right now. But I've always talked to JP. I want to like redo our album because I'm such a better drummer now. I mean, I could. Oh man, it's like the things it's just like thinking about it gets me excited, like the drum licks I could put on our songs, old songs now, how much better in time I am. Like, it would be great, and like add more songs to the album. We had these other songs that like, Liberty is a Lie. We never put on that album. That was an awesome song. Just certain things like that. I've talked to him about doing that, but we've never really, it's hard. We live in 2 different states. So, but yeah, I'm always interested in doing something musically. I want to get my drum set back up here and start playing again. I mean, I never have lost it. I still got my chops for sure. But I don't want to go too long without playing. So I'm kind of getting the itch again, if you will.
Yeah. Cool. Last question for you. What advice can you give to younger musicians that are just getting into the music business or business in general?
Okay. Play. Like, if you're in a band, first of all, you're working with like 4 or 5 other people, however many other people there are. It's very difficult. Be patient. Play your music live. That's huge. Getting out and playing. Playing in the garage is cool, but once you're playing in front of other people, it's a lot different. And it can change the way you approach it, and it can make you better. I would highly advise taking lessons. for your instrument that did wonderful things for me. And I don't know, like, just play. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Just like get out and play. Be smart. Watch out for the bad things that can come with the music business and industry and that life. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of sleazy managers and all this kind of crap. There's so many shows we played where we didn't even get paid. We should have got paid, but it was like, whatever, we're playing anyways. So like, just have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. And yeah, that's all I could say, really.
That's great. That's great advice. Hey,
Yeah.
Josh, thank you so much for doing this, man. It's
Thank you, man.
awesome to connect with you. And like I said, I didn't give up. I finally got you. So thank your
Awesome.
girlfriend for me for setting it up and
Yes.
getting the technology going. And hey, let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. If you ever want to do this again, I'm more than willing. And I'd love to keep in touch.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
man. Well, good luck. Well,
Thank
I'll
you,
talk
man.
to you soon.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.